All India Radio presents Morning News. Good morning. I'm Sunil Verma and with me is Vaibhav Jyotsna Srivastav. The headlines. Gujarat government signs MOU worth 1.54 lakh crore rupees to set up semiconductor and display fab manufacturing unit in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a two-day visit to Uzbekistan tomorrow to attend SCO Summit. First trial for India's maiden human space mission, Gaganyaan, to be done by end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates hails Prime Minister Modi's development initiatives in digital payment, sanitation, vaccination drive and women empowerment. Hindi Divas being celebrated across the country today. Home Minister Amit Shah to inaugurate second All India Raj Bhasha Sammelan at Surat in Gujarat. INS Satpura reaches Darwin in Australia to take part in the multinational exercise Kakadu 2022. And in women's cricket, India beat England by 8 wickets in second T20 to level 3 match series 1-1 in Derby. The Gujarat government has inked a Memorandum of Understanding MOU worth 1.54 lakh crore rupees with Vedanta and Foxconn Group for the establishment of semiconductor and display fab production facilities in the state. The MOU was signed in the presence of Minister for Communications, Electronics and Information Technology Ashwini Vaishnav and Gujarat Chief Minister Bhupendra Patel in Gandhinagar yesterday. The two companies will invest 1,54,000 crore rupees to build a facility in Gujarat which will lead to the creation of around 10 lakh new jobs. Applauding the development, Prime Minister Narendra Modi said this MOU is an important step in accelerating India's semiconductor manufacturing ambitions. He said the investment of 1.54 lakh crore rupees will have a significant impact to boost economy and jobs. Mr. Modi says this will create a huge ecosystem for ancillary industries and help our MSMEs. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be on a two-day visit to Samarkand in Uzbekistan from tomorrow to attend the 22nd meeting of the Council of Heads of State of the Shanghai Cooperation Organization SCO. Mr. Modi is visiting the country at the invitation of the President of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev. The External Affairs Ministry said the SCO Summit will be attended by leaders of SCO member states, observer states, Secretary General of the SCO, Executive Director of the SCO Regional Anti-Terrorist Structure, President of Turkmenistan and other invited guests. During the summit, the leaders are expected to review the organization's activities over the past 2 decades and discuss the state and prospects of multilateral cooperation in the future. Topical issues of regional and global importance are also expected to be discussed at the meeting. Prime Minister Modi is also likely to hold a few bilateral meetings on the sidelines of the summit.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Railway Minister Ashwini Vaishnav will flag off the Vande Bharat Express train between Gandhinagar and Mumbai on the 30th of this month. The minister told the media in Ahmedabad that the trial run of the Vande Bharat Express train was successful. Addressing media after the interactive session organized by the Gujarat Chamber of Commerce in Ahmedabad, Mr. Vaishnav said the serial production of the world-class Vande Bharat Express will begin from the next month. The centre aims to begin 75 Vande Bharat Express trains by the 15th of August 2023, which will link all the major cities of the country. The first among them will be started soon between Gandhinagar and Mumbai, the minister added. The minister said Vande Bharat Express trains will be equipped with regenerator technology. He said in the second phase, Vande Bharat Express trains will have sleeper coaches.
कई सारे इनिशिएटिव्स वर्ल्ड क्लास बनाने के लिए करीब 50 स्टेशंस का टेंडर बहुत जल्दी होने वाला है. एकदम नई डिजाइन, एकदम ग्लोबल स्टैंडर्ड्स के बेसिस पे बनाए जा रहे हैं। वंदे भारत की बहुत अच्छी प्रोग्रेस है। सितंबर के महीने से चेन्नई से फैक्ट्री से हर महीने 4-4, 5-5 ट्रेन निकलने लगेंगी। साथ ही साथ हाई स्पीड ट्रेन का, बुलेट ट्रेन का बहुत अच्छी प्रोग्रेस है। करीब 48-50 किलोमीटर के आसपास पिलर्स कास्ट हो चुके हैं ऑलरेडी। इसी तरह से हर फील्ड में, चाहे कवच हो, चाहे ट्रैक्स को मेंटेन करने की बेटर टेक्नोलॉजीज हो, स्टेशन नए बनाने हो, हर तरीके से रेलवे को वर्ल्ड क्लास बनाने का प्रयास है।
Communications, Electronics and Information Technology Minister Ashwini Vaishnav will attend the Digital Infrastructure Providers Association's annual flagship event 2022 in New Delhi today. The Minister of State for Communication, Devu Singh Chauhan, will also attend the event. Communications Ministry said the theme of the event is Gati Shakti Vision for 5G and beyond, which is in line with Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Gati Shakti National Master Plan. During the event, the delegates will discuss on the topics including synergizing robust digital infrastructure with smart cities, Infrastructure 4.0 Frontier for digital transformation and integrated infrastructure development, financial opportunities.
Minister of State for Science and Technology, Jitendra Singh, has said that the first trial for Gaganyaan, India's maiden human space mission, will be done by the end of 2023 or at the beginning of 2024. He said the first test flight will be followed by sending a female-looking humanoid robot, Vyom Mitra, to ensure that the final flight of Gaganyaan is flawless. Dr. Jitendra Singh said, on the basis of these two missions, our astronauts will go into the third mission.
हमारा प्रयास है कि इस साल के अंत तक, नहीं तो अगले साल के आरंभ में एक पहला ट्रायल, फिर दूसरा जो ट्रायल होगा उसमें एक रोबो जाएगा, वायोमित्र, एक फीमेल रोबो जाएगी। क्योंकि इसमें हमें ये भी सुनिश्चित करना कि जब फाइनल गगनयान जाता है तो उसकी प्रक्रिया पूरी तरह से फूल प्रूफ रहे और उसकी वापसी भी उसी तरह से अनइवेंटफुल, सामान्य तौर पर हो जैसे कि हमने उसकी योजना बनाई है। इसलिए असल गगनयान से पहले 2 और ट्रायल शायद अगले वर्ष में कर लें, और विलंब हुआ है कोविड के कारण। अगले साल के अंत तक तो शायद संभव ना हो, लेकिन 2024 को प्रयास रहेगा।
With the launch of Gaganyaan, India will become the 4th nation in the world to launch a human space flight mission after the US, Russia and China. India will host the G20 Leader Summit at the level of heads of state and government on the 9th and 10th of September next year in New Delhi. India will assume the presidency of the G20 for 1 year from the 1st of December this year to the 30th of November next year. It is expected to host over 200 G20 meetings across the country beginning December 2022. India will invite Bangladesh as a guest country to take part in the G20 meeting during its presidency.
In an exclusive talk with All India Radio News, Sherpa of G20, Amitabh Kant, said that under India's presidency in G20, the major challenge would be on accelerating the pace of inclusive and sustainable growth. He also pointed out the challenge of ensuring the adequate amount of climate financing to address the environmental issues.
This is a very, very important presidency year because there are global conflicts right now. There is a huge amount of restructuring of the global supply chains. There is global debt, which is at an all-time high. And therefore, the challenges before the G20 are to accelerate the pace of inclusive and sustainable growth. There is a challenge of ensuring that there is climate action and that there is an adequate amount of flow of climate financing to emerging markets and developing countries. There's also the challenge of using technology to leapfrog, and how do we accelerate the pace of this technology acceleration across all countries. And also, due to COVID, a vast number of people across the world were left behind in education, health, nutrition.
Mr. Amitabh Kant said that India has been vocal that development agenda has to be inclusive, sustainable and equitable. Mr. Kant emphasized that development needs to be supported by all countries and would require adequate amount of financing for achieving the SDGs.
G20's challenge. The challenge is not merely on the health side, but accelerating the pace of the implementation of the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Because if the world has to go forward, if the world has to grow and expand, it has to be inclusive and equitable growth. India has been saying that it has to be sustainable, but it has to be inclusive, it has to be equitable. And this growth needs to be accelerated by all countries of the world. Now, this would require a vast amount of financing along with climate financing. And therefore, climate financing and financing for SDG holds really the key to growth of the future.
In Morning Matters, now let us listen to a discussion on G20 Summit 2023. The participants are Amitabh Kant, G20 Sherpa, and former CEO Niti Aayog, and Dr. Atul Kumar Tiwari, All India Radio Foreign Affairs Editor.
India will host the G20 Summit on 9th and 10th September next year. India will be assuming the Group of 20 year-long presidency from 1st of December 2022 till 30th of November next year. As the G20 president, India will set the agenda for the year, identify the themes and focus areas, conduct discussions and work out outcome documents. G20 Sherpa Amitabh Kant. India will be holding the presidency of G20 Summit in December this year. What is the significance and the underlining message?
This is a very, very important presidency year because there are global conflicts. Right now, there is a huge amount of restructuring of the global supply chains. There is global debt, which is at an all-time high. And therefore, the challenges before the G20 are to accelerate the pace of inclusive and sustainable growth. There's a challenge of ensuring that there is climate action and that there is an adequate amount of flow of climate financing to emerging markets and developing countries. There's also the challenge of using technology to leapfrog, and how do we accelerate the pace of this technology acceleration across all countries. And also, due to COVID, a vast number of people across the world were left behind in education, health, nutrition, and therefore accelerating the pace of sustainable development goals will also be a key challenge.
How India will be eyeing to address the methods to boost its digital economy and improve the cross-border financial or transitional transparency, and that too when we are looking at a $5 trillion economy in the years to come.
India has demonstrated to the world is that you can use digitization to leapfrog, and therefore India provides a unique opportunity through digital public goods, where the public good is the track which is owned by the government, on top of which the private sector innovates. So India is the only country in the world where PhonePe competes with Google Pay, where WhatsApp competes with Paytm. And therefore, our belief is that the trunk infrastructure must be created by the government, and on top of which we should allow private sector to innovate. What India has achieved in the last 6 to 7 years would have normally taken India about 60 to 70 years. But India has really accelerated the pace of digital transformation. This is a lesson for many other countries of the world. And we need to bring what we have done to the knowledge of the world, that this is possible to technologically leapfrog. And that the data being owned by big tech, we need data to be owned by individuals. And that consent is critical. And that digital identification is required. And almost 3 billion people across the world need digital identification. So these are huge lessons which the Indian narrative brings out. And during our presidency, we'll use this opportunity to spell out the Indian narrative in many of these things.
So, India's G20 priorities are being firmed up with previous conversations that revolved around sustainable growth and the lifestyle for environment or life, as spelled out by the Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi. He has been very vocal about life. How much or less this we are going to see to be discussed about lifestyle for environment in the G20 Summit under India's presidency?
Lifestyle for environment, life will be center stage. It will be one of the key priorities of the government, the key priority for India, because we strongly believe that the developed world is talking about 2050 and it has fixed up long-term goals, whereas we need individual movement forward and we need actually annual action plans which will be based on individual transformation. India truly believes that lifestyle for environment will be a very critical agenda in its G20 presidency.
So as India celebrates its 75 years of independence, it's indeed a proud moment for all of us to be ushering into a new year in 2023 with the G20 Summit. Your message for the people?
The people is that G20 presidency is India's unique opportunity to really project, brand and present the best face of India as a progressive nation which is transforming itself in the next one generation, as the Prime Minister said. It's Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, and we should use this period and the period of G20 presidency to give a huge impetus to growth, progress and improving livelihoods in India. Thank you.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Commerce and Industry Minister Piyush Goyal has said that exports have been one of the most defining features of the government's efforts to make India a developed country by 2047. He said it is a vision articulated by Prime Minister Narendra Modi in his Independence Day address to the nation this year. In his opening remarks at the meeting of the reconstituted Board of Trade in New Delhi, Mr. Goyal said, "Global confidence in India's prospects for growth are truly immense." He called upon the domestic industry to overcome all weaknesses when it comes to grabbing the plethora of growth opportunities available to the nation.
Over 1,90,000 TB patients have been adopted within the 5 days of the launch of Nikshay 2.0 initiative under the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan. In a tweet, Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia said that India is moving towards TB Mukt Bharat through Jan Bhagidari. Last week, President Draupadi Murmu had launched the Pradhan Mantri TB Mukt Bharat Abhiyan to eradicate TB from the country by 2025. Union Health Minister Dr. Mansukh Mandavia will launch Raktadaan Amrit Mahotsav, a countrywide mega drive for voluntary blood donation from the 17th of September to the 1st of October this year. The special drive is a part of the Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav. The registrations for the Raktadaan Amrit Mahotsav have begun on the e-Raktkosh portal and Arogya Setu app. 1st of October is observed as the National Voluntary Blood Donation Day.
You are listening to the morning news on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Gujarat government signs MOU worth 1.54 lakh crore rupees to set up semiconductor and display fab manufacturing unit in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a 2-day visit to Uzbekistan tomorrow to attend SCO Summit. First trial for India's maiden human space mission Gaganyaan to be done by end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates hails Prime Minister Modi's development initiatives in digital payment, sanitation, vaccination drive and women empowerment. Hindi Divas being celebrated across the country today. Home Minister Amit Shah to inaugurate second All India Raj Bhasha Sammelan at Surat in Gujarat. INS Satpura reaches Darwin in Australia to take part in multinational exercise Kakadu 2022. And in women's cricket, India beat England by 8 wickets in the second T20 to level 3-match series of 1-1 in Derby. For quick news updates round the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle @AIR News Alerts.
अपने बिजनेस को बढ़ाने के लिए लीजिए आकाशवाणी का सहयोग और दीजिए उसे बुलंदियों के पंख।
आपका बिजनेस लोकल है या राष्ट्रीय, आकाशवाणी देती है उपभोक्ताओं तक पहुंचने का हर विकल्प।
और अब तो आप घर, दफ्तर या दुकान पर बैठे बैठे कर सकते हैं आकाशवाणी के किसी भी केंद्र के लिए विज्ञापनों की बुकिंग।
आकाशवाणी के विभिन्न चैनलों पर विज्ञापन देना सुलभ और सस्ता।
बुकिंग है तो संपर्क करें 8700014242 पर
8700014242।
Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates has hailed Prime Minister Narendra Modi's development initiatives in digital payments, sanitation, vaccination drive, women empowerment, etc. In an interview to a TV channel, he said, India is an example of many things that have been done in women self-help groups and digital empowerment. Mr. Gates said a number of things were done well in India and the rest of the world is learning from these leadership actions. Prime Minister Narendra Modi will visit Madhya Pradesh on the 17th of this month on his birthday. Mr. Modi will launch the relocation project of cheetahs at Kuno National Park in Shiopur district. The Prime Minister will also address more than 1 lakh women of self-help groups at Karhal in Shiopur district. We have a report.
Women from self-help groups are very eager to talk to the Prime Minister and listen to his address. Kaliyabai, who is earning 10 to 12 lakh rupees annually through her group from fish farming in Shiopur district, wants to meet the Prime Minister and seek further guidance.
ऐसा लग रहा है कि हम उनसे मिले और हमें कुछ और आगे बढ़ावा का जो मतलब कुछ तो बताएंगे वो, और अभी दीदी जो काम कर रही है वो आगे और बदलाव लाएंगे.
Sunita Adivasi of Goras village in Shiopur district has now become financially capable through the welfare schemes of central government.
मेरा नाम सुनीता आदिवासी है. मैं ग्राम गोरस विकास खंड कराल जिला श्योपुर मध्य प्रदेश की निवासी हूँ. समूह में जुड़ने से पहले मेरी स्थिति क्या थी, आज क्या हूँ और आगे मैं क्या करना चाहती हूँ, ये सभी बातें मैं आज सबको बताना चाहती हूँ.
There are more than 5,000 self-help groups in Shiopur district and more than 70,000 women are associated with them. These women hope that the visit of Prime Minister Modi will give a new identity to their work in the country as well as abroad. This Ashwini Balotia from Shiopur, Sanjeev Sharma, AIR News, Bhopal.
Over the past 75 years since independence, India's largest public service broadcaster, All India Radio, has been the proverbial storyteller for the 1.3 billion citizens across the country. All India Radio is celebrating 75 years of freedom with the series Azad Bharat Ki Baat, Akashwani ke Saath. It showcases the journey of India since independence in various walks of life through the storytelling of All India Radio. In today's episode, we bring you the story of industrial development in India.
At the time of independence, the Indian economy was underdeveloped, with agriculture contributing to more than 60% of the GDP and most of the country's export earnings. But after 75 years of independence, India has emerged as one of the leading economic powers. Systematic industrial planning under different 5-year plans helped in establishing a large number of heavy and medium industries. Industrial development in the country can be divided into 2 phases. The government successively increased its control over different economic sectors during the first phase 1947 to 1980. In the second phase 1980 to 97, measures were taken to liberalize the economy between 1980 and 1992. After 1992, the whole process of liberalization became more focused. Great businessman J.R.D. Tata is revered as the first architect of India's industrial revolution and the father of Indian aviation. He founded various enterprises that are now part of the Tata Group. He has played an important role in the development of independent India.
I think that from a technological point of view, management point of view, Indian industry, at least big industry today, is a very different animal to what it was when I first became a director of Tata's. There is a quality consciousness that didn't exist in the old days. We mustn't forget that it's not so long ago, perhaps 100 years ago, when nobody would touch a Japanese product. Now they are the leaders, perhaps in most products, largely on the basis of quality. So, first of all, there is a big change. Then labor. What are you talking about with the dominance of the union, backed by the politician? There is no opportunity to exploit labor.
The iron and steel industry made rapid progress after independence. 3 new integrated steel plants were established at Raurkela, Bhilai and Durgapur. Bokaro Steel Plant was established under public sector in 1964. Visakhapatnam and Salem plants were set up afterwards. Steel sector in India has traversed a fascinating journey from a mere 1 million ton at the time of independence to 120 million tons in the financial year 2021-22. Engineering, cement, chemical and fertilizer industries are also important mineral-based industries which witness rapid progress after independence. Textiles, sugar, paper and vegetable oil industry are parts of the agro-based industries which provide employment opportunities to a large number of people. In order to make India a global manufacturing hub, Narendra Modi government launched the Make in India campaign to facilitate investment, foster innovation, enhance skill development, protect intellectual property and build best-in-class manufacturing infrastructure.
विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए देश के मैन्युफैक्चरिंग सेक्टर का मेक इन इंडिया विस्तार करना बहुत जरूरी है. विकसित भारत के निर्माण के लिए जरूरी है हमारा एक्सपोर्ट बढ़े, दुनिया में हमारे प्रोडक्ट कॉस्ट के मामले में कॉम्पिटिटिव हो। ये सस्ते और सुगम लॉजिस्टिक्स के बिना संभव ही नहीं है। इसी सोच के साथ पिछले 8 वर्षों से देश के इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर पर अभूतपूर्व काम हो रहा है।
Indigenous capabilities have been developed to achieve self-sufficiency and self-reliance. It is due to these efforts that today India exports a large number of industrial goods to various countries.
INS Satpura and a maritime patrol aircraft of the Indian Navy have reached Darwin in Australia to take part in multinational exercise Kakadu 2022 hosted by the Royal Australian Navy. INS Satpura and P-8I maritime patrol aircraft reached Darwin on Monday. The 2-week-long exercise, both in harbour and sea, involves ships and maritime aircraft from 14 navies. Meanwhile, the Defence Ministry has said the Indian Air Force contingent participating in exercise Pitch Black 22 in Australia has returned after successful participation in the multinational exercise.
Indian and Chinese armies have stepped their troops back from the front line of the Gogra Hot Springs area as patrolling Point 15 in the eastern Ladakh region. Quoting army sources, our Leh correspondent reports that the disengagement process was on for 5 days that included the dismantling of the temporary structures and bringing the frontline troops to the rear locations respectively by both the armies. Minister for Europe and Foreign Affairs of France, Catherine Colonna, will hold talks with External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar in New Delhi today on bilateral, regional and international issues of mutual interest. Catherine Colonna reached India yesterday on a 3-day official visit. Ms. Colonna will travel to Mumbai tomorrow and meet industry leaders.
Hindi Divas is being celebrated across the country today. It was on this day in 1949 that the Constituent Assembly adopted Hindi written in Devanagari script as the official language of the country.
हिंदी भाषा राष्ट्र की भाषा प्रजातंत्र के शास्त्र की भाषा हिंदी भाषा राष्ट्र की भाषा प्रजातंत्र के शास्त्र की भाषा देवनागरी लिपि में भाषा जन जन के मन की अभिलाषा.
Home Minister Amit Shah has greeted people on Hindi Divas. In a video message on the occasion, Mr. Shah said, Hindi unites the nation in the thread of unity, and the Narendra Modi government is committed for parallel development of all local languages, including Hindi.
हिंदी दिवस के शुभ अवसर पर मेरी आप सभी को बहुत बहुत शुभकामनाएं. हमारा देश दुनिया भर में सांस्कृतिक और भाषाई दृष्टि से बहुत समृद्ध है. देश की भाषाई संपन्नता को ध्यान में रखते हुए संविधान निर्माताओं ने भारत के संविधान में भाषाओं के लिए अलग से प्रावधान किया, जिसमें प्रारंभ में 14 भाषाएं रखी गई और अब 8वीं अनुसूची में कुल 22 भाषाएं सम्मिलित है. भारत की सभी भाषाएं महत्वपूर्ण है. उसका अपना अपना एक समृद्ध इतिहास है और विभिन्न भारतीय भाषाओं के साथ समन्वय स्थापित करते हुए हिंदी ने जनमानस के मन में एक विशेष स्थान भी प्राप्त किया है.
Union Home Minister Amit Shah will also inaugurate the second All India Rajbhasha Sammelan in Surat, Gujarat today.
In women's cricket, India defeated England by 8 wickets in the second T20 to level the 3-match series 1-1 at County Ground, Derby last night.
In wrestling, 3-time Commonwealth Games champion Vinesh Phogat made it to the repechage round in the women's 53 kg at the World Wrestling Championship 2022 in Belgrade, Serbia yesterday.
And now an overview of today's newspapers. 34 drugs are added to national list of essential medicines, among them 4 major anti-cancer drugs, reports Hindustan Times. FM to India Inc. What stops you investing? Headlines The Asian Age. The Indian Express headline reads, Invoking Hanuman. FM to Industry. Step up investment. Do not doubt capability. The news of the death of Jean-Luc Godard appears on the front page of the Tribune with the caption, Iconic French director who revolutionized post-war cinema. And finally, ex-dacoit from the Chambal Ravens who surrendered in 1984 is now a cheetah mitra, spreading awareness about the cheetahs being brought into India from Africa. The story appears in the Hindustan Times.
And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Gujarat government signs MOU worth 1.54 lakh crore rupees to set up semiconductor and display fab manufacturing unit in the state. Prime Minister Narendra Modi to embark on a two-day visit to Uzbekistan tomorrow to attend SCO Summit. First trial for India's maiden human space mission, Gaganyaan, to be done by end of 2023 or beginning of 2024. Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates hails Prime Minister Modi's development initiatives in digital payments, sanitation, vaccination drive and women empowerment. Hindi Divas being celebrated across the country today. Home Minister Amit Shah to inaugurate second All India Rajbhasha Sammelan at Surat in Gujarat. INS Satpura reaches Darwin in Australia to take part in multinational exercise Kakadu 2022. And in women's cricket, India beat England by 8 wickets in second 2020 to level 3-match series 1-1 in Derby. And with that, we end the morning news. Have a nice day.